Have lots of names for these people. Bums, deadbeats, losers, scums of the earth. They smell bad.
Hey, listen, man.
Wait, I'm going somewhere with this.
Hey, what's up, world? I know, it's been quite a long time. I haven't dropped a single video this year. I believe the last video I dropped was like way back in December. And not even like late December, it was like a mid-December video. What a piece of shit I am, right? Well, it happens. You know, I'm a very busy person. I have a job that I have to take home with me. Like, even after I'm off the clock, I come home and I have to work on a bunch of shit. Like, hours worth of work, even after I'm off the clock. And then there's a bunch of other shit that I've been wrapped up with. So, like, you know, after I'm done doing all my slave shit, you know, I want to play a little bit. You know, I don't want to, like, get off of work, finish doing work on my computer and stuff, like, after I'm done with work, and then remain on my computer doing this work. Believe it or not, this is actually a whole bunch of work. Actually, before I even started this video, like 2 days ago, I wanted to set up the tabs for this video, and then like an hour ago, when I went to come to this video, to these tabs, to this like window that I have all these tabs open in, a whole bunch of the tabs ended up refreshing. Then I had to find the fucking tab that belonged there, or whatever link I had there, which was more complicated than it sounds. But a lot of fucking work goes into this, believe it or not. So when I'm off the clock from my slave job, and I'm doing all the work that comes after that, I just don't have the drive. I don't have the mental energy left to then come on here and make these fucking videos. So that's why that happened. And then sort of making excuses, that's sort of kind of like an excuse in some way, because I mean, I could also be doing like less fucking around, you know? So whatever. I got to give myself some lashings, but then I also got to give you all some lashings. But I want to thank the person who commented on my video, you know, calling for me back. Thank you. Your comments are actually the only reason why I'm back on here making this video right now. Because really, I could give two fucks at this point. Okay? I'm kind of at like a bad place right now. So forgive me. So anyway, let's get right into this fucking video, right? You're all probably wondering, why in the fuck are we looking at a Google slide? And what the fuck does that Google slide even say? Well, I thought the same thing. Well, at least I thought that last thing. Like, what the fuck does this slide actually say? But we're looking at this slide because it's a perfect way to preface this video. This right here is a Google slide. Now, what you're looking at here, the language here, is called lorem ipsum. Apparently, this is some filler language that Google uses on its slide templates. So if you go to Google Slides, you'll find like when you first enter like a new slide, you'll find like, I think it's in themes, but you're going to find like something over here. Like once you get into a new slide, you'll find like templates over here. And if you click on one of these templates, it's not any of these here. It'll probably be in some of these templates actually. But if you click on one of these templates, they'll open up, and then the filler language that they use all throughout these slides is this thing called lorem ipsum. And it's interesting because, look, they got executive summary here. They don't put lorem ipsum up here. Actually, I guess in some of the titles they don't use it. But in, like, their filler words, they'll put a lorem ipsum dolor sit amit. So anyway, so I saw this when I was doing some work for the job that I'm paid to do. I saw this and I was like, you know what? I have a feeling that there's some hidden meaning behind this shit. So I went over to ChatGPT, and I was all like, hey, ChatGPT, what the hell is going on here? What does this mean? Right now, ChatGPT, now when I had done it originally, it gave me like a literal translation, which we're going to look at. But then when I went to do it again, after I showed this to a bunch of people, and a bunch of people thought it was weird, when I went to do it in a new, fresh ChatGPT thing, it ended up giving me a different translation that makes it sound like better than it actually is. So let's look at the literal translation, right? So let's look at what I put here. Can you try not to be poetic with it and give me the closest literal meaning of the loose Latin? So let me give you all some background. So it turns out this lorem ipsum is like a bootleg Latin. It's like a fake Latin. However, it does have loose connections with actual Latin words. They're not actual Latin words, so that Google can have this plausible deniability and be all like, oh no, it actually doesn't really say that, or so that they can probably like give this mixed message of, oh, it says this, oh no, it doesn't say that. So let's look at this, right? So I think, Google or whoever set this lorem ipsum nonsense up, they have it set up in a way that where they can like kind of escape responsibility for what it really says. So its direct translation, its closest literal meaning of this loose Latin is as follows. Pain itself is important, but so is seeking fulfillment. Hard work and struggle come with time, yet they bring great rewards. For this reason, we try to make the most of every opportunity, pushing ourselves forward, though nothing comes without effort. No one wants to experience pain, but sometimes it is necessary for progress and satisfaction. So this is really interesting because this is actually the crux. This is actually the gist of their very satanic philosophy. You see, they have this philosophy, and it's purely satanic in nature, and if it's not satanic, it's completely idiotic. So, or maybe just like a sadist philosophy, right? So, like Satan, right? But, or it's a sadistic philosophy. So their philosophy, the philosophy that I'm talking about, is that you can't know pain without pleasure. A person can't know, I'm sorry, that was wrong. It is the opposite of that. It's that you can't know pleasure without pain. So they have this philosophy where it's like, you need to have this duality in order to have meaning, in order to have true meaning. You need to have black in order to have white, or you need to have bad times in order to appreciate good times. And yeah, this is true to a degree. But what they do with it, they use it as an excuse for their evil. They're like, oh no, it's fine that I'm evil because we need evil in order for us to appreciate good. And it's like, no, buddy. First of all, you're a human fucking being. Second of all, you're not God. You're not the one who's supposed to be out here dictating or being the arbiter of how much evil we need in the world or not. You're a human being. Second of all, there's enough evil and pain and suffering that exists in the natural world. We don't need a bunch of psychopaths and a bunch of sociopaths to add on to that pain and that misery and that suffering to provide meaning and appreciation in our world. Okay, but this is their philosophy, and it's embedded right there. Google Slides, I mean, so many people use this shit. Now, what's interesting is here's the poetic bullshit that ChatGPT tried, like, selling to me after my mics and stuff probably picked up on the fact that I became privy to their satanic messaging here, and they found out that I was sharing it with people, and they were having the same shocked response I was having. So ChatGPT and Google and all these fucking people, they probably were like, oh no, let's make sure that when people search for this again in any sort of AI, that it gives this bullshit poetic response. So this is one of the poetic responses. It's like life moves forward, shaped by work and experience. Time passes, bringing challenges and rewards. But every effort brings something valuable. We pause, take a breath, and push on, knowing that even struggles lead to something greater. Joy and hardship go hand in hand. And in the end, it's all part of the journey. Okay, this is this like nihilistic, the good, it all goes in the hand, good, evil, they're the same because they're both necessary, they both go hand in hand. It's okay for us to be evil because that's all part of this necessary circle of life and the circle of meaning. It's bullshit. These people are psychotic, and not only are they psychotic, they're idiotic beyond belief. But anyway, that is just a segue into all of the articles that we're going to be looking at. I guess I could have made like a separate video on this, but I don't have time for that shit. I don't have time to do separate uploads. I'm not getting paid by fucking the ads anyway to do a bunch of separate uploads. So fuck it. I'll put everything in a 2-hour video, and those who have the discipline and see the value in my videos, they'll see it through to the end if they really do see the value in them. So anyway, let's look at our first article. Now, this goes back to the LA wildfires. I really want to talk about this because I believe I know exactly what made them so out of control. It has nothing to do with the actual wilderness. So let's check this out, right? So this article is titled, Quick Thinking Fire Chief Uses Milk and Beer to Save His Brother and Neighbors' Homes from LA Inferno. Now, when I saw this title, I was like, bro, I have to read this fucking article because I have to know how he managed to use milk and beer to save 2 homes from burning down. I was like thinking like, man, what was he driving around, a fucking fire truck loaded with milk and beer? Like, how the fuck did he save 2 homes from this massive inferno that burnt every other home down? He says in the article, all the other homes around them burnt to the ground. And I'm like, how the fuck did this guy save 2 fucking homes with milk and beer? Well, you know what? Let me just get right down to the crux of the article. There's a bunch of information in this article talking about how, like, he went to his son's house because he lost contact with them and he wanted to make sure that they were safe. But then when he was, like, basically on his way there, he got contacted by them saying that they were evacuated and that they were fine. So he decided, like, hey, you know what? I'm in the area. Let me go check on the homes anyway, right? So, though the seasoned fire chief had already made his way to the torched neighborhood and figured he could check on his brother's home. I'm sorry, his brother's home, yeah, right? So the neighborhood is torched, right? I was already up there and I thought, well, I could at least go check on his house, Finessi told the outlet. As the firefighter of nearly 50 years reached the fire-riddled area, he can only describe the wreckage as a total nightmare. Finessi recorded the unbelievable damage on his cell phone. This shocking footage shows Finessi offering his condolences to a childhood friend as they together viewed the remains of the incinerated homes. Now, the streets that once held many fond memories of the Finessi family were reduced to ashes. So this is making it very clear that it's not like, oh, you know, he managed to save these homes because it's not like I'm the major fire passer there. No, the whole fucking neighborhood is burnt down, right? Yet as he arrived at his brother's home, the fire chief was shocked to find the house still standing as the surrounding homes were fully engulfed in flames. We tell everybody, call 911 and we'll be there. This was a situation where you call 911, it's unlikely we were going to be there. As he got to work clearing fuels that appeared dangerously close to the buildings, Finessi noticed the gas meter on the neighbor's house was already melting. The gas meter on the neighbor's house. First of all, I don't know why they were fucking fuels that appear dangerous. Like, why do you have fucking fuels? Like, why is there fuel like outside a person's house? It's like, yeah, we just got fucking fuel just hanging out outside by our house when there's wildfires in the area. Are these people trying to burn down their homes? I don't feel like that's something that caught me, like, you know, by surprise, right? So after finding a hose but no water, the fireman forced entry into the home in search of something to cool down the melting meter. I thought, I'll check the refrigerator, and all that was in there was some milk and a couple beers, Finessi said. I went back out and kind of ran back there and cooled it off and pulled it back a little bit. It wasn't completely out, so I wasn't sure if it was going to rekindle, but it was all I could do. A cart of milk and a couple of beers was all it took to save the only 2 homes still standing on the ruinous street of the Altinda suburb. I think this is our new reality, he said. This house-to-house, these urban conflagrations, we're going to start seeing them more and more. I don't know why he said it. He said he did what he could as trained firefighters, and though he's getting a lot of credit, a lot of his heroism surmounted to good timing and available resources. Okay, so then they just glossingly pass over this incredibly important information that they delivered like a bunch of fucking assholes. Okay, sorry for kind of snapping like that, but man, did they fucking write this so poorly, right? So first of all, the fire meter was not on fire, so I don't know why they say this over here when they're talking about it rekindling. Where was that rekindle at? Oh yeah, right here. Oh yeah, I don't know why he talked about it rekindling. Okay, so this is essentially what happened, people. Okay, so the fire meters are outside of the homes. So the home that he's at right now, the home itself is not on fire. However, when there's a bunch of fires around it, it gets very hot in those areas. Like if you've ever passed a car, like a car wreck on the highway and the car was on fire, when you're passing that car, there's like an immense amount of heat coming off of that burning car. So there is like an immense amount of heat in the area. And it seems like that heat was enough to actually melt these gas meters, which are outside of these homes. So the fire actually doesn't even have to come into contact with these gas meters. They're made of some fucking poor material that they will melt when the surrounding temperature gets high enough. And then when they melt, they're creating gas leaks. They're basically busting open. Then it's creating a gas leak. And then when there is a fire near it, or even a burning Kindle passes it, it causes the fucking gas line to erupt into flames and burn down the entire home. That's why these homes, I got a picture over here. That's why when you look at these homes, there are trees over here that are fucking green, but the entire home that was here is gone. It's been reduced to ashes because the gas line in the home is fucking breaking and causing the whole house to fucking burn down. Not of course, like immediately, but it's just the houses that are burning. The fire's actually probably burning from like with inside, because I'm sure once that gas line outside gets compromised, that will then create a fire that will go into the house. And basically all the gas lines in the house are going to burst into fucking flames and burn these houses down from the inside out. Okay, these aren't fucking wildfires. These are largely gas fires. Look at this. This tree over here, perfectly fine. Maybe a little charred. This bush over here, though, looks immaculate. Looks like most bushes do in the wintertime. You even have the green lawn over here. These are not wildfires. Yeah, these trees are all crisped up over here. So what's happening is just like even a couple things start burning over here. Boom. These houses, once those gas meters outside start melting, what kind of fucking shitty material are they made out of? They bust open and spontaneously combust from inside. And that's how this guy managed to save 2 whole fucking houses, not by dousing the houses themselves in beer and milk, but by simply dousing their gas meters in beer and milk. And that's how he managed to save 2 homes. So you gotta ask yourself, what's the real purpose of this gas meter outside the home law? Like, you look it up, there's actually a law in California and a lot of states, not all of the states, where the gas meter has to be outside the house, which is fucking patently ridiculous. And their excuse for it is like, oh, if there's a leak, the leak will at least be out in the air. It's like, bro, but if there's a leak in your home, you're going to fucking know it real quick if you're home. You're going to smell the gas. So their excuses are that, like, they want it to be easily accessed by like workers. If they need to come, they can do it outside the home. They want like it to be able to vent if there's a leak. My gas meter's inside my fucking house. All right, there's no fucking issue. If there's a fucking leak, we're gonna fucking smell it real fucking quick. All right, but anyway, it's interesting. That's actually the law over there, and that's actually the thing that caused these fires to be so devastating. And that's actually why, like, if you look at this image here, there's houses by the beach over here. The beach doesn't have fucking a bunch of trees surrounding them. There's not a lot of trees surrounding these homes. But if you look at this image, all these homes over here along the beach, and I've seen like news reports specifically about these beach houses, all of these beach houses here were also burnt down. It's because it got hot enough to cause this shit to melt, the fire meters to melt, and the gas within those meters, in those lines, to come out, and then boom, catch fucking fire once the whole area is filled up with gas. They're like, I wouldn't be surprised if these houses were fucking like basically blown up from some of these gas lines. So that's what happened there, right? That's something I wanted to talk about. Needed to get that off my chest. Anyway, let's go over to our pals in the Middle East. You gotta love them, because if you don't, you're gonna be called an anti-Semite. So make sure you love these people. Make sure when you see them, well, actually not them, it's their government, so please. But anyway, they do support their government in a lot of ways. But anyway, let's get right into this, right? So Israel destroys buildings in West Bank's Jenin after killing elderly man. Now, this is something that I've wanted to report on, even though this article is from February. I believe that they started to attack, I believe Israel started to attack, or Israeli's government, they started to attack the West Bank, this place Jenin. If I'm not mistaken, it was like early January, something like that. Now, this is huge news. This is really important news. Not only are they attacking this place in the West Bank, but they're also attacking Palestinian homes. They're straight up just going in there and attacking homes. This is Al Jazeera. This is a 27-minute little mini documentary about these Israelis going attacking these homes and then occupying them. And like they're basically like shooting into the homes. There's a lot of crazy stuff. Now, this is really important because if you don't know where the West Bank is, it's nowhere near fucking Gaza. That's for sure. And I think the West Bank, I don't even think the West Bank contains Hamas. I think Hamas is like a Gaza Strip entity. I could be totally fucking wrong though. I guess I should look that up. Let's look that up right now together. Alrighty, there we go. We have our answer right here. Hamas isn't even in the fucking West Bank. They don't even govern the West Bank. That's the Palestinian Authority. They had nothing to do with October 7th. But now Israel is moving in to the West Bank, attacking the West Bank, killing people in the West Bank. This after they've killed over 62,000 people in Gaza and displaced millions. Now, we know what's happening there before we even get into what Trump said. Let's look at some of this stuff, right? This is something I wanted to talk about. Now, we got this. We got Trump kicking ass here. Yeah, Trump just kicked ass in Mexico, man. He got the Mexican president to send troops. He's done all this stuff. And I will say, I was not expecting him to free the January 6th prisoners, let alone free all of them at the same time. And I was a little surprised by that. However, it's happening for a reason. Okay, and it's funny too, because when he started to do all this stuff, I was actually talking to a Trump supporter. I was in the room with a Trump supporter, and it's a relative of mine. And he was all like, oh, he's so great. Like, he thinks that Trump is the Messiah, right? So he's like, yes, the Messiah has done it again. See how great he is. So I of course, I reminded this person that Trump, actually, no, what it was, first I had said, yeah, I wonder what the political payment for all of this is actually going to be. And he was like confused. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you think Trump is doing this out of like the kindness of his heart? No, this is all strategy. This is Trump. He's doing what I call the art of bottom feeding. So way back in the day when I first started my YouTube channel, I made a couple of videos about a lot of these YouTube shills that exist. I was watching YouTube populate with a bunch of obvious intelligence shills, and I noticed one of their strategies for these shills was something that I called the art of bottom feeding, or the art of low-hanging fruit. And essentially what these shills were doing is they would make a lot of like entertaining videos on a lot of low-hanging fruit topics. You know, they would criticize religions and stuff, and they would build up an audience base by talking about a lot of these low-hanging fruit topics. All of this, bottom-feeding stuff. Just low-hanging fruit. And it's easy stuff to talk about. It's not complicated, really easy for the audience to follow along. And then after they would build up some credibility and a large enough audience, they would then talk about something important and give a complete bullshit take on that thing. Just give a completely low IQ, mindless fucking thing, a mindless take on a subject or something that's going on in the news, and their audience would just eat it up. And it's because they had developed a cult of personality. They would develop this personality cult around themselves with this low-hanging fruit stuff. Then they do this, they put this crazy information out there, this total bullshit, or they have this totally bullshit take on something, and then people just eat it up. So that's essentially what Trump is doing. He's earning his supporters' trust more. And he's doing it because, of course, he knows what's coming down the pipe. He knows that, okay, we need to make some big moves. I suspect they'll go after the Second Amendment. I'm not sure exactly when. I suspect that's going to be later on, near the end of his term. But I also suspect nuclear war. I was not expecting this Gaza plan of his. What's interesting, though, is I was going to make a video on this article right here, which came out before Trump announced his Gaza plan. But this would be another example of, like, he's going to do some crazy dumb shit like this, and his supporters aren't going to bat an eye, because to his supporters, he's a superhero who could do no wrong. Now, what's interesting is that this Trump supporter that I was talking to at the time, who I was, like, basically saying this to, not all of that stuff to, but I basically said, hey, look, he's doing this because he's trying to win public opinion. And he's trying really hard to win it really big, because he's going to be doing something really big. So this person's response to me was like, oh, why don't you trust Trump, huh? How come you're like this way about it? I'm like, look, because Trump already revealed who he was when he was in office last, and he did this stuff with the vaccines, and he declared a national emergency over this stuff. He did the warp speed. And this person's fucking response was, that wasn't Trump. Trump wasn't in office when that happened. And this person is so helplessly brainwashed. Their psyche, their ego is so bought into Trump that they went, I told them, I said, why don't you Google when Biden entered office? They Googled when Biden entered office, and they saw January 20th, 2021, and they fucking text me, and they said, see, Trump wasn't in office, Biden was in office. And I was like, I said, why don't you read very carefully what you're looking at there, what you just sent me? COVID-19 was named because the virus was discovered at the end of 2019. In the middle of 2020, or early middle part of 2020, Trump declared a national emergency, pushed for the warp speed, and got the vaccine by the middle end of 2020, by October, November? And then he swore it was super safe, and he was convincing, and this person, they didn't realize it until, I guess, shortly after. And then they realized, oh, wow, you're right. I'm sorry. I was wrong. And then they never really talked about it again. Because their brain is just that fucking brainwashed. Their ego is so bought in to this Trump nonsense that it will convince itself that something they experience. And this is an old Trump. This is not an old Trump supporter like he's got fucking Alzheimer's. But this is an adult. This is somebody older than I am. They were awake, they were cognitive, they're not on drugs, they don't do drugs. So they experienced the Trump presidency, but at this point in time, their ego has actually convinced them that something that happened didn't really happen. And that's the kind of people we're actually dealing with here. We're dealing with people who are helplessly brainwashed. They are just an empty box filled with propaganda and programming. And it's pathetic. It's like, holy hell, there's no soul in there. It's like, hello, wake up. Do you have a soul? None. Just programming, just reflexes. Insanity. But anyway, that's what I believe the purpose of what Trump is doing. Now, that's right. I wanted to read this article. I'm sorry, I almost digressed there. Let's read this article real quick, right? So this article was actually published February 2nd of 2025. I think maybe one day before Trump had made his announcement, or maybe two before he made his announcement. And it's funny because when I saw this article on this day, I really wanted to make a video on it, but I didn't have the time. But anyway, let's look at some parts of this article, right? So President Trump recently floated a fantastic idea. Arab nations, he said, should accept large numbers of Gazans as refugees, a move that, quote, could be temporary or long-term. The accommodation would allow Israel to eliminate the remnants of Hamas, which, in turn, would allow the international community to rebuild Gaza. So then Israel can then move in and then benefit off of it, because that's what would be the outcome, right? It's not like, oh yeah, the international community comes in and just out of the goodness of their heart, They're going to totally rebuild Gaza and just allow the Palestinians to move back in. Actually, they're going to have a building giveaway, and they're just going to give these buildings away to Gazans. That's not going to happen. They would rebuild Gaza. Of course, we know exactly who they would give ownership over it to. Then they would rent it, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, if you're a Palestinian, yeah, you can rent it if you can afford it." You can't afford it though. Now, can you? So anyway, not only would such a policy enhance the prospects of peace, but it's also humane. Oh yeah, it's totally humane. Hey guys, get the fuck out of your home. Get the fuck out of this territory. Get out of here. Go somewhere else. We're gonna rebuild it. Because we're the good guys. Insane. While Gazans shouldn't be compelled to move from their homes, they should be allowed to escape the generational tragedy foisted on them by the Arab world and their nihilistic leaders. This is half true. They're definitely half true. I mean, I have said the heads of these of this Hamas, they're in bed with we know who. It's not like they benefited from October 7th. We know who, like they're all in cahoots with one another. Okay, Israel knew about that plan apparently a year ahead of time and chose not to do anything. Okay, we know what's actually going on here. Even though the media doesn't want to come clean with it, we fucking know. And trust you, you do know. Don't for a second make these or allow these snakes to make you feel like you're like not straight in the head. No. They're really good at that. But they're the evil ones. They're the ones that are wrong. But anyway, and I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to show you what kind of liars these people are. How they are just masters of deceptions. And they have the audacity to publish these lies for millions of people to see. And you're going to see that right here in this article. It's debatable, considering evidence shows that most Arabs, and now check this out, right? So, because one of the prevailing myths, as Israel should monetarily incentivize them to move to safer environs. Because one of the prevailing myths of the Israel-Arab conflict is that Palestinians have a deep historic connection to the land that goes back centuries. Let's look at this bullshit. It's debatable, considering evidence shows that most Arabs immigrated to British Palestine from Egypt, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and elsewhere in the late 19th century and early 20th century, lured by the prosperity created by returning Jews. But Gaza, there are over 2 million people in Gaza. There were perhaps 50,000 there when Arab nations rejected the partition plan in 1947. Okay, so now both of these things here, just so you guys don't know, they're bullshit. Okay, I minored in history, and I took a class specifically on the history of the Middle East, and something that's made very clear in these classes, and something you can look up yourself, Jewish people didn't start migrating to Israel in great numbers until Hitler took power, until the 1930s. Okay, there was a huge issue with getting Jews to migrate to Israel before that time, because there was no need for them to. It's like, hey, why should I leave? Like, you know, I mean, they were very well established throughout Europe, so they're like, hey, why should we leave these glorious countries that like we're basically in charge of, like a lot of their parts? Why should we leave this luxury to go to some like desert place there in the Middle East where everybody around us hates us? Nobody was really actually migrating there. It was very, very few. So this idea that like, oh yeah, once the Arabs found out the Jews were returning, they all decided to migrate there. Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, the Jews are coming. That means prosperity's coming. We're going to go there. I mean, that is such a ridiculous idea. And now, to confirm what kind of bullshit idea, because I would have to pull up a bunch of shit to show you guys how bullshit this is. So instead I'm going to focus on this, because this one's very easy to show you that it's bullshit. Let's go over to ChatGPT. It's up here amongst my first questions to it. So I'm all like, about how many Arab people lived in the Gaza Strip in 1947. In 1947, the Gaza Strip was predominantly Arab, with an estimated about 80 to 100,000 Palestinian Arabs living there. Okay, so they're off by like 100%. Okay, that's how off they are here. Anyway, let me just have my response to this. My response to this is that when you dump, I know that the idiots in charge don't want you to realize this, but there are very basic realities that need to be taken into consideration. An economy cannot just absorb tens of thousands of outsiders out of nowhere. Okay, that's going to cost those nations money to absorb those people. There aren't jobs that exist for those people to work. So they're going to be a net negative wherever they go. So it's not like you can just like, oh yeah, Egypt, you're going to take all these people. That's how it's going to happen. And it makes perfect sense, according to this fucking title. So once again, these pieces of trash, they ignore fundamental aspects about reality, about history, about so much. And then they just say, smugly, they put in their titles, and that makes perfect sense. And then the idiots out there, the brainwashed masses on both sides, depending on what the title is, depending on what side their allegiance is on, they just fucking eat it up, or they just reject it. Just like knee-jerk reaction, because that's all they are. They have no soul. They are just simply a body that is capable of reflexes, of reflective actions and reactions. That's it. And you can see it, everything that they do. But I guess, I shouldn't even be saying that, because, it's like sort of like me dehumanizing them, and it's like, they are still humans, right? Whatever. But anyway, let's move on. Trump, he demands rare earth metals from Ukraine. In exchange, the U.S. would continue to provide Kiev with support in its conflict with Moscow. So this is interesting. Trump, pulled funding Ukraine for, a couple of days, and now all of his supporters think he's actually pulled funding from Ukraine, and then he's already started to refund Ukraine, already started to send funding back to Ukraine because Ukraine has actually agreed with this. And then the soulless, heartless fucking Trump supporters, they're going to be like, oh no, this is smart for Trump to do. It's fine that he's sending them aid now because at least we're getting something out of it. It's like, do you not have any integrity? Do you not have any principles? Do you not have any virtues? Of course not, because you have no soul, because you are an empty sack filled with propaganda and programming. And you've been programmed America first. Fuck every other human being in the world. As long as us Americans are getting something out of it, it's okay that death, destruction, and tragedy are being exported abroad. You people are disgusting. I have to censor myself from saying anything else, because I got a few other choice words for you scumbags. Okay, look at you all. You all sit there like this scumbag right here. So we got this shit here, right? So we all know this is what we've talked about already. Trump has basically already clarified that Palestinians would not return to that area. Of course, we know. And he's all claiming U.S. soldiers will, no U.S. soldiers would be sent. No, of course not, because Israel can do all of this on their own, because we're also sending them enough aid. So, of course, Israel can do this all on their own. So all this really is, all this talking about this plan and the U.S. involvements in it, all it is the U.S. giving the okay for Israel to keep going balls to the wall with the genocide and the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, and what will probably soon be the West Bank. As we've already looked at, they're going to go after the West Bank too. Where's it at? I got my image here somewhere. I think it's here. Okay, they've already basically totally eliminated Gaza, totally decimated it. They're going to be doing the same thing to the West Bank, and Trump's basically given them the U.S.'s approval. That's all what this really is. So yeah, U.S. soldiers don't have to be sent there. Israel would do a perfectly fine job with the ethnic cleansing on their own. And then if somebody else tries to come in and stop them from doing whatever, the U.S. will be like, no, we're involved in this shit too. We also have a fucking dog in this race. Now, to add insult to injury, to add insult to all of this shit, actually, let's just look at a couple of his pictures here. Look at him. Look at this. What I want to say is this is the face of somebody. He's looking at the audience. He's trying to exude confidence. He's trying to say, yeah, look, of course this is what we're going to do. This is perfectly fine. And this is the look of somebody who's just ready to call you an anti-Semite. He's just waiting for somebody to say something in the audience so he can turn to you and be like, what are you, some sort of anti-Semite? And then just totally silence you and have your life destroyed, ruined. You know, these people are experts at destroying people's lives and causing misery. Not within just our own country, but all over the fucking world. Alright, so to add insult to all of this shit, he gives Trump a golden pager by Netanyahu to commemorate the devices that blew up terrorists in Lebanon. So basically to commemorate a terrorist attack that Israel carried out upon the Lebanese people. This actually ended up injuring civilians. This is a huge war crime. To President Donald J. Trump, our greatest friend and greatest ally, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Here you go. Here's this thing to, commemorate our blatant disregard for crimes. Look at the guy. He even looked like, let's move on. Let's move on to our next article, right? I think there's happier things here. So Trump signs order creating first ever U.S. sovereign wealth fund, and TikTok could be its first purchase. Socialism, anybody? Where are all the anti-socialist people? You guys realize that this will cause inflation, right? Okay, supply and demand. There's a limited amount of supply, and now the U.S. will be part of the demand. The U.S. government will be part of the demand. I mean, we already have like a plunge protection team, and we're already involved in manipulating the markets. But this is just going to make the markets even more artificial. It's like, hey, guess what? Guess who else is out there buying shit? The U.S. government. They're buying more shit. Now, what's interesting is that this is something from Brian, the High Impact Flicks guy. This is his other channel, The Disturbing Illusion, where he sort of talks about relevant stuff, and he doesn't just try to fucking pick a bone with cops. Like, his other channel is just disgusting. It's like, bro, yeah, I know some cops are bad, but man, you having a whole channel dedicated to being biased against all police and shit just makes you look like a fucking asshole. Like, to me, those channels come off nothing. It's no different than, a KKK channel talking about hating all of this group. Everybody in this group is like this. Everybody in this group is like this. All of these people are like this. Get a fucking grip, man. Go outside and actually talk to people and actually meet some people. You'll find that every group has their fair share of assholes and their fair share of saints. So, in this video, Brian points out that, at Trump's pre-inauguration party, Trump is, or his pre-inauguration rally, he has, a bunch of clips from the movie Full Metal Jacket playing. And, one of the scenes is, the one that says, you will be a weapon and a minister of death. And, he has all of this fucking praising the military-industrial complex shit going on at this rally. And all these fucking brainwashed, program, empty vessels are just there clapping along. Yeah, man, war! Yeah, I'm gonna be a weapon and minister of death! That sounds fucking admirable. That's what I want to be in life. But anyway, so yeah, this is what Trump is really heading towards. This is happening, people. We're not moving further away from nuclear Armageddon. A lot of people think, oh yeah, look, Trump's in office now. Russia's chances of nuclear bombing Ukraine are down and stuff. You guys don't realize what's going on, okay? Russia just made a deal with Belarus. They just basically strengthened their military alliance. Russia's basically trying to drag Belarus into this situation where I think they would, the agreement was, if somebody attacks Russia or if somebody attacks Belarus, then their militaries are going to come together. They basically just created an alliance. And did you hear that in the news? No, of course, not at all, right? So it looks like Belarus might be dragged into this conflict really soon. And I'm sure Putin wants that so that he can get more manpower to push through into Ukraine. So by no means is this conflict in Ukraine almost over. But anyway, let's move on. Let's just say that nuclear Armageddon isn't behind us, right? Anyway, let's move on. Judge issues... Oh, this is actually what happened here. Oh, yeah. This is something else I wanted to talk about. So judge issues stunning ruling temporarily blocking Trump and Musk buyout offered to 2 million federal workers, right? So Trump does this, right? He's like, yeah, man, I'm offering a buyout to all the CIA workers. And his supporters are like, yeah, man, that sounds awesome. It was like, you fucking idiots, man. You realize how expensive this is going to be? I mean, I know Trump is like the master. He's increased the national debt more than any president before him or after him so far. Just one has come after him. But he's increased the national debt more than anybody. $8 trillion in 4 fucking years. Okay? And now he's just right back on it. He's like, what can I fucking throw money at? Let's fucking throw money at as many things as possible. Let's fucking give buyouts to 2 million federal workers. Do you know how fucking expensive that's going to be? And those federal workers are not going away. Okay? Those CIA officers that he offered a buyout to, I'm not sure if it's 2 million CIA officers or like that like CIA officer buyout thing is in these 2 million, like maybe a few 100,000. Okay, those federal workers, it's not like those positions are then going to be canceled. It's not like the CIA is going to be closed down. No. What's going to happen is it's going to be refilled. Okay? So they're going to restaff these things. And trust me, those people who are being destaffed, they're not actually destaffed. Okay? Like they say in the CIA, once you're in the CIA, you're in the CIA for life, even after you retire. Okay? So they're not actually, it's all a fucking mix-up, people. Okay, this is just, it's a game what they're pulling on you, and you guys just aren't catching up to it. Not my listeners. I'm sure most of my listeners are catching up to it, but yeah, they're not going to be like. It's not like he's going to shut down the CIA. No, she's going to be staffed with a bunch of more. So now you're going to have like double the amount of CIA agents out there, basically, and then some of them just will be off the government's pay. They'll receive benefits. I'm sure some other way. But it's just hilarious, all this shit that's going on, and people are just like, yeah, man, that's fucking great. I mean, we have a press secretary now. It's hilarious. I was watching this press secretary, this fucking bimbo that has no business being the press secretary. She's just up there because she's a pretty face, and they need a pretty face to, for whatever reason. And she was up there, and they were talking about U.S. aid. And instead of calling it U.S. aid, they were talking about it, she said USAID. I couldn't believe that shit. I was like, wow, what a fucking joke. What a complete effing joke. I mean, not that, it's not like she had to fill very big shoes. The person that she replaced, that fucking clown, who literally looked like she had clown makeup on. I could not get over the makeup that she would have on, above her eyes, like in that eyelid area. It literally made her look like a fucking clown. Now we have a new clown. Fucking unbelievable. But anyway, let's move on. I want to talk about this plane crash now, right? So let's talk about this plane crash. Aviation experts suspect Black Hawk did not see American Airlines plane before deadly DC crash. It should not have happened, right? So now this is interesting, right? Oh, we suspect that the Black Hawk did not see the American Airlines. Then we have this other article. New York Magazine blasted for claiming helicopter pilot who died in DC plane crash were clearly at fault. Well, who fucking was at fault then, right? Then we got this one. Black Hawk crew was likely wearing night vision goggles at time of DC plane crash that killed 67. Now, before I get to this one here, which is the most recent article, let's look at these dates real quick. Way back on February 3rd, right? February 3rd. This is February 1st. Right, this February 1st. Now, Brian, going back to this guy's video, he's got this video, when did this video come out? Something happened here. My whole settings were all fucked up. This video came out 6 days ago. It's February 7th. So this video came out February 1st. And this video that Brian did, it's a great fucking video. And in this video, I don't even know why the video refreshed. That's great. It's great. Yeah, just fucking refresh the video so I can get bombarded with ads again. So in this video, Brian looks at the radar. This is the radar of the planes. This is this the plane that got hit, or was it this one?
And
Let's
I
see.
want to find out if you see anything strange with this flight.
Yeah, 5342 is the one that was hit, right? So in this video, Brian points out some really important stuff. He shows the helicopter's path. He shows the plane path. But most importantly, he goes over the audio recordings between the tower, the airport's tower, and the helicopter pilot. And he points out that like a whole minute, like something like 57 seconds before the collision, the airplane pilot was told by the tower that this jet was coming in for a landing on this runway. And the helicopter's pilot, in return, request a visual disconnect. Now, a visual disconnect, I believe that's what it was called. A visual disconnect is basically to disconnect from the tower's instruments and to like guide their plane based on their own vision. Based off of like, instead of us being guided by what the tower sees and the radar sees, allow us to just go by what we see. Don't worry, we're the military, we can do it fine. This is like 50 seconds before the helicopter collides with the plane. And then right before the fucking helicopter collides with the plane, they ask for another visual disconnect because they're like right fucking there. There's alarms going off in like the tower. There's like a near collision alarm that goes off. And like even then the helicopter pilot even says, "Yeah, we see the plane. We see the jet. Allow us that visual disconnect." And then it fucking goes right into the fucking plane. And Brian shows the flight path. This helicopter does take a pretty sharp turn. See, it's like over here, and instead of going over here, it decides to take this sharp right turn right into the path of the jet. And the fucking helicopter pilot said that they see the jet and requested visual disconnect at least 2 fucking times. Now, this is all really interesting to me because there's been this like debate like, oh, did the helicopter pilot see the plane? They did see the fucking plane. They admitted to seeing the plane. So what ended up happening shortly after this, you had complete fucking radio silence on this event. After it was clearly demonstrated that the helicopter pilot did see the plane, what ended up happening is you had some shills going out there making excuses, trying to say, like this guy right here, this is a World Star video, 74,000 views. Brian's video only has, okay, good, it has 57,000 views. That's awesome, because he does say some really important stuff here. But you started to have a bunch of these shills come out here claiming that the helicopter, which is over here in the video, this idiot over here tries claiming this is the helicopter. They try claiming that the helicopter, when the pilot said that they see the plane, they end up pointing out to some other plane, and they're like, oh yeah, the helicopter pilot thought that they saw this plane, not the plane that they actually crashed into. Like, these people are somehow fucking psychics now. Like, they can just psychically communicate with the fucking dead. Like, they're fucking Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense. Like, oh yeah, no, we talked to the dead helicopter pilot, and he told us that he thought he was looking at this plane. He didn't see that fucking plane over to his left. And that's the bullshit that they come up with now. And that's basically what happened. The story disappeared from the media. But as you can see in this flight radar, there is no other fucking flight around there. The plane that this asshole's probably pointing out is this one here. This one right here, which is not the plane that collided. As you can see, I don't know why it glitched like that. That was weird. But there's a plane over here. So when they collide over here, way over here, I believe this is the other plane. But this is nowhere near the runway for landing. This one just took off. The helicopter pilot was told that this jet was coming in for a landing. So unless you're a complete moron who's going to mistake a plane that just took off for one that is landing, then no, the helicopter pilot, when they said that they had visual confirmation of the plane coming in for a landing, he did not confuse the two planes. And one thing that I find pretty interesting is that now, some 5-6 days later, February 7th, and throughout the week, I've been seeing articles, and I'm still seeing articles, obviously, trying to piece this puzzle together and trying to figure out whether or not the helicopter pilot saw the plane or not. Oh yeah, in the case of this article, the crew was likely wearing night vision goggles. It's like, what the fuck does it have to do with anything? It's like, we have a pretty clear idea of exactly what happened. Okay, now, what I find interesting is, right before all of this, what were we all talking about 2 months ago? A month, not even like a month before this incident. What was everybody fucking talking about every single day because they were too stupid to understand reality? They were talking about the fucking drones. The helicopter drones, the plane drones. There were all kinds of drones. I saw pictures of all kinds of fucking drones. We've looked at some of the types of drones. Okay, you think that they don't have a helicopter drone? No, then you'll ask yourself, oh, what would be the purpose of that? Why would they have to, have this plane go down? It's very simple. It's brainwashing. I think that they have figured out some sort of algorithm that if they feed into the brain a certain mixture of news events, of tragic, of celebrity worship, of like these highs and lows, this bipolar like news feed of, oh, this tragic event just happened, but in the news, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. This kind of bipolar fucking input of information, it does something to the brain, it does something to the psyche that causes it to either like freeze up, to like become shocked. It does something to our vibration, to our energies, to our mind, to something that allows them to get away with all of this shit. And this is what I think brainwashing really is. Continually washing the brain clean so the brain actually doesn't know what it's supposed to do. So it just goes into a routine. It's like, I don't really know what to do. I don't know what's right or wrong. Should I act on this? Should I take a stand on this? I don't know. My brain's been washed again. And it's like it doesn't know what to do. It's constantly wobbling. It doesn't know whether to stand or to sit. So it's just wobbling back and forth. And now it's in a state of complete inaction. It's neither standing nor sitting. It's just stuck, paused. It's like it's been frozen, but like not in either position, just constant wobble. And I think that's what the point of all of this is. And they knew they had to have some shit like this come out before Trump came out with his fucking news. Before they started to talk then about Israel. And I've said in previous videos that what they do is they use like domestic policy or domestic actions to distract from foreign actions. And then when they need something to happen domestically, they distract what's happening domestically with something foreign. Some foreign news. And that's what they do. They constantly go back and forth between that and these highs and these lows and this bipolar fucking news feed. It's their magic spell. It's not really fucking magic like actual magic of waving a wand, but they figured out how the psyche works, how the brain works, how our souls work. And they're fucking masters at it. They're just so good at making us into a programmed... Let's move on. So 100 million Americans exposed to unregulated contaminants in their drinking water, researchers warn. So 1/3 of the country is drinking water full of unregulated and unknown contaminants that could have major impacts on their health, right? So I've talked about this before. I've shown this before, but guess what? No, it's not just 1/3. Guess what? Actually, 1/4. No, is it found about? I'm sorry, not 1/4. 1/4 would be less than 1/3. It's nearly half. With the PFAs, right? So PFAs or PFAS, these like forever chemicals or whatever, these polyfluoroalkali substances. I guess that's what, polyfluoroalkali substances. That's what the PFAS stands for. And it's funny, they're alkali, right? Alkaline. Somebody actually pointed out, I was watching a video, and they pointed out that I think probably even Brian, it might have even been on like a Disturbing Illusion video. I forgot where I saw it. Actually, I'm almost 100% sure it was. And he had another video where he's talked about an ingredient inside of breakfast cereal. Everybody loves to consume this breakfast cereal, and it turns out there's an ingredient in there that's an industrial alkali. It's some like industrial shit that's a poison to humans. And they put it in all of the, well, not all the breakfast cereals, but it's in all of these major breakfast cereals. And it's this alkali thing. What it is, it's like our bodies are supposed to be a certain pH. Not too much alkaline, not too much acidity. And I think that actually having too much alkaline is actually bad. Because I think people who have too much acidity, at least that acidity can kill some of this shit. Yeah, it'll kill them too. But it's also killing the other shit. But I think this alkali actually makes us more susceptible to things that they're exposing us to. Like my father, I believe he has like probably a super acidic inside from eating like shit. When he got COVID, he just basically got the sniffles. It was nothing fucking to him. But people who I know who have very high alkaline diets, who are all like, yeah, man, I don't want to have an acidic interior. I want to have as much alkaline and base as possible. When those people got COVID, they were fucking deathly ill. So there's something to this alkali, this acidity stuff. It's interesting. But yeah, look at this shit. We're all fucking being poisoned. Our tap water's all fucked up all over the place. But we got more important things to do, like rebuild Gaza, all right? So moving on to other news, we got this Christian Iraqi who burnt Quran in Sweden, sparking huge protest, is shot dead in live stream assassination. It's like, man, you should know when you're dealing with crazy people and you're fucking with their stuff, man. Like, it's pretty simple, but I don't blame him. Now, what's really fucking crazy is his friend, after he was assassinated, went out and in protest decided to burn a Quran. And what did Sweden do? They locked his ass up. Man convicted of hate crimes over Quran burning in Sweden. The ruling against anti-Islam campaigner Salwan Najam comes days after the killing of fellow campaigner Salwan Mamika. So after one of them is fucking assassinated, Sweden, instead of like condemning his assassination and saying we are a country that stands on freedom of expression and freedom of speech and these inalienable human rights that humans ought to have in order for us to live in a just society, instead of Sweden coming out and saying that stuff and condemning the actions, condemning the assassination of this guy for burning a fucking book, instead of doing that, what do? They go and fucking arrest this guy, which is basically like telling these people who assassinated his friend, like, yeah, it's good that you killed him because what they're doing is a hate crime. And basically making these people seem like fucking criminals. Making it seem like these people are actually doing something that's worth punishing them over. They're sending the complete opposite message from the message that they should be fucking sending out. Alright, so displaced people in the Democratic Republic of Congo face uncertain future after fleeing Goma. So there's these fucking crazy extremists going throughout the Congo, fucking killing a bunch of people. It's horrible. The other day, they broke into a prison, and they managed to make their way into the female ward, and they basically raped and burned all of those females. It's horrible. I think, like, when I last checked, it was like 1,000 people were killed. But anyway, gonna be, going into different stories now, less tragic stories. I thought this was a really cool video. This video is on BitChute, as you can see. It's, are you familiar with the one-handed reload method? You might want to know this method, because who knows, you might be fucking in war soon, and you might get your hand blown off by some fucking drone. So you might want to be familiar with this one-handed reload method. The only problem that I see with this method is that if you just fired off a whole clip, the barrel of this rifle might be very fucking hot, alright? So I don't know if you're going to be able to be holding it in between your calf and thigh, or your Achilles, your ankle and your thigh. That might not work out so smoothly in practice. Still pretty fucking cool, though. Cool party trick. Shocking video shows moment former Maryland principal stomps on foot of autistic kindergartner. This shit is nuts, right? This principal is caught on video stomping on the foot of an autistic kindergartner. And the judge doesn't even allow it to get to trial. Look at this soulless piece of trash here. The judge just fucking threw it out. Doesn't even allow it to get to trial. If you see where's the look, was acquitted of assault charges related. He wasn't acquitted. The judge just fucking threw out the case. He was buddies with the judge. I don't know, fucking paid off the judge. Maybe him and the judge go raping fucking, people that are being sex trafficked together. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe this guy and the judge go down to that other judge's chambers that was using his courthouse like a brothel. The judge that was shot by the fucking one police officer or sheriff. after he found out that the judge was then prostituting out his daughter. Maybe these guys all go down to the same fucking brothel and rape fucking women, you know, fucking say, hey, you know what, you want to get off of this fucking, this charge? You're going to have sex with one of us gross fucking human beings. Yeah, no, we don't need to look fucking like a pleasant human being because we have power. And we use that power to take advantage of people. And stomp on the fucking feet of autistic kindergartners. All right, we got some page 6 stuff. What's over here? I forgot what's even over here. Oh, yeah, this one's just fucking disgusting. Madonna's daughter, Lourdes Leon, lets it all hang out in sheer catsuit at St. Laurent Hom show. Look at this fucking disgusting human being. Not even a human being. Look at this disgusting, soulless demon. Look at the expression on this face. Absolutely soulless. Look at those empty eyes. Wears this absolutely obscene outfit where, as you can see, it had to blur it out over here. You can see her fucking nipples. Look at this these debauched human beings. Of course, this skank over here, this fucking hostage over here, this slave to money over here, who will obviously fucking do anything for money. Oh, you're a millionaire and you're willing to give her some if she gives you some? Oh, she doesn't mind. She's got no fucking integrity or soul to worry about. Look at this. I mean, just absolutely, you can just tell, spoiled, rotten, disgusting human being. Of course, raised by an equally disgusting human being, Madonna. It's like, how does this thing not just get laughed off the fucking screen? If I saw these, I would just laugh at them. I would point and laugh. You have no soul. Cool. Anyway, let's finish this video off with you know what. Look at what's back in the news. It's never even left the news, guys. All right, lifelong Paramus resident Doug Williams, a pillar of community, dies suddenly. Barstool's employee dies suddenly at 28. Let's see what happens when we refresh this, because this was from a couple days ago. Fashion influencer Laleska Alexandra dies suddenly, aged just 28. Oh, this is another one, 28. This isn't so the Barstool's chick was also 28, right? Wisconsin couple sues Walgreens. Oh yeah, this is a guy who died because his asthma inhaler thing was like super overpriced. I can say a lot about that, right? British tourist, 24, suddenly dies after hostile fumigated. After hostile fumigated for bed bugs. Okay, so she probably just died because of fumes. Yeah, that's the Barstool Sports. Yeah, but this shit is still happening. I saw a couple other news stories that actually isn't even up here. Oh yeah, Super Bowl reporter Adam Manzana dies suddenly at 27 in New Orleans just months after wife's tragic crash death. You know, they could have died from something else. I think that they're investigating it. But of course they'll find that it was fine. It was definitely not because of his status. Nothing to do with his health status at all whatsoever. You know, it has nothing to do with him lining up for some experimental shit a couple years ago. And who knows? They probably went for the boosters or something. You know. Anyway, that ends this video. Who knows what the next video I will be making is? You know, it's tough when your only drive is your internal drive. You know, so fuck. Who knows? Who knows when my next video will be? But anyway. Y'all take it easy. Remember, don't fucking get depressed. Don't, give up. Don't lose hope. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay sharp.
Don't worry, I got an idea. An idea so smart my head would explode if I even began to know what I was talking about.